We've just had an update from DICE about the Battlefield 6 beta and the changes they'll be making for the final release based on all the player feedback. After having a quick look through, I wanted to go over some of the biggest points with you, but I'm glad to say some of the concerns I had with the beta have actually been addressed, which makes me very excited for the final release. If you caught my last video where I compared some of Battlefield's features to COD, you'll know I don't hold back on giving my honest thoughts, and that's exactly what you can expect on this channel. Straight up impressions, honest reviews of both current and classic games, and takes on upcoming releases. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, stick around, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss what's next. So it looks like the beta was a massive success, in fact, a record-breaking one for the Battlefield series. It pulled in the highest player count in any Battlefield beta to date, with over 420 million matches played and more than 92 million hours of gameplay. Honestly, I can't remember the last time a pre-release beta had this kind of impact. It's a huge sign of momentum for Battlefield 6 and what it could become moving forward. Now that the beta's wrapped up, the big question is how DICE will actually take all of that feedback and put it into the final release. The early signs are promising though. A lot of the issues that I and many of you pointed out have already been addressed, but it's good to see this really was a proper playtest and not just a glorified demo. The devs genuinely seem committed to polishing this into the best version of Battlefield 6 they can deliver, even though we're just under 2 months to release. First up, it looks like DICE have made some big changes to the weapons. Guns now have more distinct recoil patterns, which is a great step forward because it adds variety and makes each weapon feel more unique. They've also nerfed the shotgun, something I called out in my last video, and they're actively looking into the time to kill, which was another big issue I raised. This is great news because it increases the skill gap and gives players more flexibility and reaction time during those intense face-to-face firefights on the smaller maps. Speaking of maps, that was my biggest gripe during the beta. Everything felt way too small. Thankfully, it looks like the final release is going to have a much wider variety in scale, and the beta was mainly focused on testing the smaller ones. Honestly, I'm really pleased to hear this, because now I can confidently say Battlefield 6 seems to be heading in the right direction. I was worried they'd lean into smaller maps just to chase the Call of Duty crowd. DICE have also noted fixes for the rooftop glitches camping on the Cairo map. You know, when you're just trying to play normally on the ground, but also staring hopelessly up into the sky, praying none of them picked you off. The community made it clear, which is we want bigger maps, and it looks like DICE listened, which gives me a lot more hope and excitement for the roadmap moving forward, especially when they start rolling out larger maps as DLC. I'm also excited about Operation Firestorm from Battlefield 3 returning. That map could be incredible translated into Battlefield 6, and it makes me wonder what other fan favourites might make a comeback. It seems like there could be very exciting times ahead. Movement is another area DICE have tweaked, and honestly, it's a welcome change. In the beta, while movement felt responsive, it leaned a little too much into COD territory, with players spamming slides and jumps non-stop. Now, there's a penalty for consecutive jumps, lowering your height and momentum each time, which is exactly how it should be. Battlefield is about smart tactical positioning, not bunny hopping across the map. On top of that, firing while sliding or jumping now comes with more inaccuracy, which again is the right call. Like I mentioned in my previous video, in the beta it felt a bit like Apex Legends, with people hip firing while sliding and jumping, and that just didn't suit Battlefield's style. This change restores that balance, keeping things responsive but still grounded in the series' more realistic gameplay. The post also touches on player counts. At first, I was really hoping for 128 player matches, but honestly, the reasoning DICE gives here makes sense. They're clearly focusing on balance, which is the right move, and I think 64 players is the better call, at least for launch. That said, with Portal mode, there's always the possibility we'll see 128 player options down the line, which could be really interesting to experiment with. But for now, I'm happy with the decision. Overall, I think this update is really positive, and it gives us a huge reason to be excited for Battlefield 6. I've covered the biggest points that stood out to me, especially the ones that I had issues with, but if you want to check out the full post yourself, I'll leave a link in the description below. So now we're just 2 months from release, and it's going to be really interesting to see how much of this feedback actually makes it into the final game. This is DICE's moment, especially with how Black Ops 7 has been received. The throne is there for the taking. Let's just hope they don't repeat the disaster of 2042, because if they nail this launch, we could be looking at a real turning point in the FPS genre. And personally, I've always felt Battlefield offers the superior multiplayer experience. But of course, there's still rumours floating around about the franchise, like Battlefield moving to a yearly release cycle like COD, which in my opinion would be a huge mistake. So for now, I think we should just enjoy Battlefield 6 to its full potential, because at least so far, they seem to be on the right track. I really hope they do nail it though, because honestly, I haven't been this excited for a multiplayer FPS in years. I'll be reviewing Battlefield 6 at launch, and covering plenty of other games in the meantime to help the wait feel a little less painful. So if that sounds good to you, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.